his head up pulling over. She looked up at the sky for 47 minutes. She taught them how to drive. She sped into the ocean and swam a half a mile. No reason she could think of, but something.
Seymour didn't want money. He wanted love. So he stole a pistol, then drove over to the International House of Pancakes and ordered everybody to lie down on the floor. The lunch hour crowd did exactly as they were told. In control, and because he wanted to be charming and memorable, Seymour kicked open the door to the kitchen and told the cooks to keep flipping the pancakes and pressing the waffles, to make sure the bacon and eggs didn't burn, and to keep the coffee fresh. This was Spokane, Washington, and he wanted the local newspaper to give him a name. Seymour wanted to be the Gentleman Bandit. He wanted to be the man with Scotch tape wrapped around his broken heart. He was a white man, and therefore, he was allowed to be romantic. Seymour stood on top of a table. All of his life, he dreamed about standing on a table in the International House of Pancakes. He wondered if he would be remembered. He wanted to be potentially dangerous. He said, "I want you to put your lips on the floor and tell me what it tastes like." He felt like he was capable of anything, like he might have to buy some bullets for his stolen pistol. "All I want is $1 from each of you," said Seymour. He said, "I know how hard it is to live in these depressed times. I just want a little bit of your hard-earned money." He wanted to be kind. "Good, good," said Seymour. "Now, what I need," he said, "is somebody to run with me." "Where are you going?" asked one of the customers. "Arizona," said Seymour, and the crowd oohed and awed. He knew that everybody loves Arizona, because Arizona is potentially dangerous. "But I need somebody to go with me," said Seymour. He said, "I aim to go on a nonviolent killing spree, and I need somebody who will fall in love with me along the way." From the floor, a fat Indian man raised his hand. "I'll go with you," said the fat Indian. "Are you gay?" asked Seymour. "I'm not gay. Are you gay?" "No, sir, I am not a homosexual," said the fat Indian, "but I do believe in love." Seymour thought about that for 5 seconds, and then he asked, "You're an Indian, ain't you?" "Yes, I am." "Do you have a problem with that?" "Only if you're one of those buffalo hunters. I can't have a nomad in my car. You just can't trust a nomad." "I come from a salmon tribe," said the fat Indian, "and therefore I am a dependable man." "Well then, you're going with me." Seymour jumped down from the table and helped the fat Indian to his feet. They stood together in the half-light of the International House of Pancakes. "This place smells like smoke," said the fat Indian. "Salmon Boy," said Seymour, giving the fat Indian a brand new name. "In this cruel world, we're always going to smell like smoke." "Listen," he said. "Thank you for your kindness. Tell them the Gentleman Bandit was here. Tell them it was the man who was looking for love." Seymour and Salmon Boy raced out of the restaurant and drove off in Seymour's car. "You ever been to Arizona?" Seymour asked Salmon Boy. "Once when I was a boy. I went to a powwow in Flagstaff and lost my moccasins in the river there. My auntie spanked me until I cried." "I am sorry for your pain," said Seymour. They drove the speed limit, past 4 hamburger joints and a liquor store. They stopped at a red light. "Do you think the police are following us?" asked Salmon Boy. "If they're not now," said Seymour, "they soon will be." "Well," said Salmon Boy. He asked, "Do you think we should kiss now?" "It seems like the right time, don't it?" asked Seymour. He licked his lips. "Yes, it does," said Salmon Boy. He wished he had a mint. They kissed, keeping their tongues far away from each other, and then told each other secrets. Seymour said, "When I was 11 years old, I made a dog lick my balls." "Did you like it?" asked Salmon Boy. "No. I threw up all over that mutt," said Seymour, "and then it ran away." That's what happens when you get too far into love. That's what happens. "When I was 15, said Salmon Boy, "I stole $80 from my grandma. My mom and dad never knew. My grandma must have. She had to have, because she never talked to me again." "And then she died," said Salmon Boy. Then the light was green, and Seymour and Salmon Boy found themselves traveling south along a back road. They had not slept in 22 hours. They stopped when they saw a dead coyote. "That's a bad sign, ain't it?" asked Seymour. "Yes, it is," said Salmon Boy. "What does it mean?" asked the white man. "I have no idea," said the Indian. They stared at the coyote the way the last two disciples stared at the resurrected Jesus. The coyote had been there a long time, maybe for weeks. Seymour remembered the time, in the winter of 1966 or 67, when he walked into his parents' bedroom and caught them making love. His father had jumped out of bed, taken Seymour by the hand, and led him down the hall. His father explained why he was naked, and why he'd been doing that strange and wonderful thing to his wife, to Seymour's mother. "Cece," his father had said to him, "I'm doing it the best I can, so that your mother, your beautiful mother, will love me forever." "Salmon Boy," said Seymour, as they studied the dead coyote, "my father had ambitions." Salmon Boy smiled. Like a good Indian, he knew when to talk and when to remain silent. Like a good Indian, he knew there was never a good time to talk. "We need to find a farmhouse," said Seymour, "and we need to terrorize an old man and his wife. That is," he added, "if we're going to do this non-violent killing spree thing the right way." Salmon Boy pointed. He pointed at the horizon where a red farmhouse sat. "There it is," said Seymour, and Salmon Boy agreed. "Are we supposed to kiss now?" asked Seymour, and Salmon Boy shrugged his shoulders. "I'm not sure I want to kiss you again," said Seymour. He said, "but I will kiss you if you want it, because I don't want to hurt your feelings." "My feelings are my feelings," said Salmon Boy. "They belong to me, and you don't have to worry about them at all." "All right then, we won't kiss no more. At least, not until we're sure about it." Salmon Boy said, "I believe in love."
"'Cause I couldn't let go when the water hit the setting sun."
They knocked on the front door of the farmhouse. Seymour held his unloaded pistol. He felt like somebody might know how to save him. An old white woman soon stood on the other side of the open door. "Who are you?" she asked. "We are two desperate men on a non-violent killing spree," said Seymour. "And we're doing our best to fall in love," said Salmon Boy. "With who?" asked the old woman. "With each other," said Seymour. "Well then," she said, "you better come in and get yourself something to eat and drink. You're talking about some hard, hard work." Seymour and Salmon Boy sat at her table while she made them lemonade and ham sandwiches. "My husband," she said. "He's buried out there, back behind the barn." She said, "I think I recognize everybody who visits me. I spend whole days with my visitors, thinking I know them, thinking I have to be a good hostess. They show up in the mornings mostly, and I feed them breakfast. I feed them lunch and dinner. Sometimes, at night, I get a bed ready for them, pillows and sheets and blankets, before I realize they aren't real." She looked at the men. "Are you real?" she asked. Seymour and Salmon Boy looked at each other. They weren't sure. Through the windshield, Salmon Boy watched as Seymour pointed the gun at a tourist couple right at the edge of the Grand Canyon. "I don't want your money," said Seymour. "I want to know how you met. I want to know how you fell in love." "But that's our story," said the man. "You can't steal it." Tell me," shouted Seymour. "Please," said the woman. My husband was somebody else's husband when we met, but I waited for him. I didn't want to break up his marriage. I never told him I loved him. I just loved him and hoped that was enough. And it was. They divorced, and he called me 3 days later and asked me to marry him. We'd never been on a date, but he asked me to marry him. We'd never done anything but talk in the copy room, but he asked me to marry him. And I knew it was crazy, but I married him. And we've been married for 15 years. How does that happen? Seymour asked. It happens all the time, said the man. You just never hear about it. No, said Seymour. People don't love each other anymore. Not anymore like that. Not anymore. Seymour turned toward the Grand Canyon, ran toward the void. In the car, Salmon Boy held his breath because he was positive that Seymour was going to jump. Salmon Boy's blood climbed the ladder over his heart, but Seymour stopped just short of the chasm and threw the pistol down, down, down. Oh, said Salmon Boy as Seymour turned to face him. Oh. How do you love a man? Seymour asked the sky. But the sky didn't answer. Salmon Boy closed his eyes, and when he opened them, he was lying in a motel room. Seymour quietly slept on the other side of the bed, or perhaps he wasn't asleep at all. Salmon Boy watched the television, watched a black and white movie where the people didn't make any sense. Seymour, said Salmon Boy. Yes, said Seymour. I am the most lonely I have ever been. I know. Will you hold me close? Yes. Yes, I will. Salmon Boy pushed himself into Seymour's arms. I don't want to have sex, said Salmon Boy. I don't either. But how will we fall in love if we don't have sex? I don't know. They held each other tighter and tighter. They were afraid. I am happy in your arms, said Seymour. And I am happy in yours. Is this what it feels like? What? To be loved, to be held, to be intimate without the fear of penetration. I think so. Yes. I think so too. I think this is what women have wanted from men for all of our lives. I think they want to be held in our arms and fall asleep in the absence of body fluid. I think you may be right. They held each other tighter and tighter. They were not aroused. They were warm and safe. Can we be like this forever? Asked Salmon Boy. I don't think that's possible. Together, they watched the black and white movie where nothing made sense. They watched it until they fell asleep together, and when they woke up, they were sitting in a McDonald's in Tucson, Arizona. They wore identical Grand Canyon t-shirts. How much money do we have left? Asked Seymour. Counting the money the old woman gave us, of course. $10. That means we're in some definite financial trouble. Appears that way. And we've just about run out of Arizona, too. And almost all of the South this country has. And most of the Southwest as well. Salmon Boy wondered how much farther they could go on $10. He wondered how much South, how much Southwest, could fit into the world. He remembered that he'd left the television on when he walked over to the International House of Pancakes. He remembered thinking, I'm just going to be a few minutes. Salmon Boy wondered why he was homesick for a place where he had lived alone. Seymour wondered if the world was a cruel place. Are you learning how to love me? Asked Seymour. Salmon Boy didn't know how to answer that question. I don't know, said Salmon Boy, but you are my friend, and I believe in love. How much money do we have? Seymour asked again. He wanted to be sure. $10. then we're going to need more. Yes. Yes, we are. Seymour leapt to his feet, stood on a table in McDonald's. "Excuse me," shouted Seymour, "but we are here to take your money. Not all of it, but enough to continue. Enough to keep moving south." Seymour did not have the pistol, but he held his hand in the shape of a pistol. He clung tightly to the idea of a pistol. Click, click, click on the empty chambers. Seymour wanted to be kind and he wanted to be romantic. He wanted to be the man who saved the Indian. He wanted to be the coyote. He wanted to be the man who could shoot 13 people. He was a white man, and therefore he could dream. Seymour ordered everybody to lie down on the floor. He ordered them to give up all the money they could spare. "Please, please give us your money," said Seymour. "Just $1 or $2, he said. The people in McDonald's gave up their money like an offering. They filled the plate. They moved that much closer to God. "Hurry, hurry," Seymour shouted. "The police are right behind us. They're right behind us." "Oh," said Salmon Boy. He said, "Oh," as he rose to his feet and stood on the table beside Seymour. They were men in love with the idea of being in love. "Please," he said. He said, "Please." Seymour took all the money his victims could spare, and then he took Salmon Boy's hand, and they ran outside, into all the south and southwest that remained in the world.
We talk a mile a minute, we're desperate just to talk. I take you out for dinner and we're speechless while we walk. We listen to the radio and never sleep alone. We're crawling on our stomachs, a military zone. Out in the sun we sail from the coast, knowing we're sinking, we sail on. You wanna see, I'll show you a good time. I'll take you where the music is so loud. You feel it in your shoulders, your voice will fade away. We're sticking out the exits here, man, but everything's okay. And I stood there and watched it all, started to give in. Tremors in my hands, I said it in my mind, I spoke the words out loud. My legs began to shake, now you see I run against the crowd.
Is that what you want to sing?